golden age of Hollywood has always appeared as a paradise of fairy tale marriages and golden couples that commanded the world's admiration. But would you believe that all that glitz and glamour was actually a meticulously orchestrated performance?
I picked up on what she wanted, and which I have kind of a way of doing that.
I don't know why I'm not surprised.
And all of a sudden we became buddy-buddy because I was fixing her up with girls.
Look no further than Scotty Bowers, the man who once held the master key to every bedroom in the movie capital. In a globally sensational documentary, Scotty exposed a grim reality. He didn't just help leading men hide their true identities. He directly arranged secret lovers for their wives as well. It was a system of deception so sophisticated it defies belief. Today, we are opening the files on 15 of the most shocking marriages in history, from love letters buried at the bottom of drawers to true soulmates hiding under the guise of best friends. Who was being deceived and how was the truth finally stripped bare? Our journey begins with the most powerful power couple of 1945. If you want to discover the secrets that Hollywood tried to hide, don't forget to subscribe, because what you're seeing today is only the tip of the iceberg. Vicente Minnelli and Judy Garland. When a master director could not decode his wife's heart. In 1945, the entertainment world's gaze was fixed entirely on the wedding of genius director Vicente Minnelli and the iconic Dorothy Judy Garland. It was hailed as a marriage of destiny, for it was Vicente's artistic vision that had sculpted Judy's image to its pinnacle in the masterpiece Meet Me in St. Louis. In the early chapters of their life together, Vicente was more than just a husband. He was a steadfast emotional anchor, helping Judy navigate the devastating psychological crises brought on by the relentless pressure of the studio system. Together they built a model home and welcomed their daughter Liza Minnelli, who would eventually become a legend in her own right. To the world, Vicente was a devoted man, patiently standing in the shadow of the silver screen's most beautiful woman to protect her. However, behind the doors of their lavish mansion lay a private tragedy that Vicente, despite his brilliance, perhaps never fully grasped. Behind-the-scenes documents released years later reveal a Judy Garland haunted by a sense of emptiness and a lack of true fulfillment in her marital life. Her lingering depressions stemmed not only from substance dependency or professional strain, but from the agony of forcing herself to play the role of the happy wife while her soul yearned for entirely different connections. The veil began to lift as biographers pointed toward Judy's ambiguous soulmate relationships with women in the artistic community. Numerous sources claim the figure who haunted Judy most was actress Betty Asher, who also served as her close assistant at MGM. Their bond transcended professional boundaries. They were frequently seen sharing intimate gestures beyond friendship and spending secluded private moments together. The impasse reached a breaking point when Judy realized her heart truly belonged to women who could understand her soul. Yet the rigid social prejudices of the time forced her to maintain her facade alongside Vicente. The brutal conflict between her true identity and her husband's expectations ultimately drove the marriage into the abyss, leaving behind a mystery that even a master director like Vicente Minnelli could never solve. Following the fractures of Judy Garland's tragedy, we move to a monument of love, celebrated as the greatest in cinematic history, but which was in fact a game of deception orchestrated with unbelievable precision. Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn, a 26-year love contract and the deception of the century. The bond between Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn, ignited on the set of Woman of the Year 1942, became an immortal chapter in cinematic history. The intersection of Spencer's rugged, gritty charm and Katharine's haughty intellect created an explosive chemistry from the very first glance. Despite being a devout Catholic who vowed never to divorce his wife, Spencer remained publicly committed to Katharine for 26 years until his final breath. Hollywood at the time bowed in respect to Katharine's devotion, a woman who accepted the role of a mistress without a title, quietly nursing Spencer through alcoholism and illness. The public believed this was the ultimate definition of noble, selfless love that transcended social dogma. However, was Spencer Tracy truly the only anchor in the heart of this Iron Lady? Or was their relationship merely a strategic pawn to protect both their careers? Subsequent declassified records, particularly the shocking revelations from Scotty Bowers, have torn through that rosy facade. Multiple sources confirm that Katharine Hepburn, in fact, harbored no intense desire for men, contrary to the character she portrayed on screen. The truth gradually emerged as the secret women in Catherine's life were named, led by the millionaire heiress Laura Harding. Their bond was so profound that they frequently wore matching outfits, traveled the world together, and lived as a functional couple right under Spencer Tracy's nose. While Spencer was absorbed in his roles and personal inner demons, Catherine cleverly transformed her relationship with him into a perfect shield. It allowed her to freely pursue her true identity without fear of legal scrutiny or public prejudice. Furthermore, biographers have proposed a startling theory. Spencer Tracy may have been fully aware of this secret. Together, they maintained an unwritten contract to safeguard their status as A-list stars in an era where a difference in sexual orientation could execute a brilliant career. Moving away from the long-term calculated romance of Katharine Hepburn, we arrive at another shock, one far briefer, yet one that left a deep emotional scar on the man once considered the most desired in the world. Cary Grant and Virginia Cherrill. When a gallant icon was rejected by a female secret, if anyone could be called the definition of Hollywood elegance, it was Cary Grant. In 1934, when Cary Grant announced his marriage to the stunning Virginia Cherrill, the beautiful blind girl in Charlie Chaplin's masterpiece City Lights, the world believed they were a perfect match made in heaven. Cary loved Virginia with a rare intensity, sparing no expense or effort to dote on his new bride, escorting her to the most lavish parties of the high society elite. Images of them hand in hand in the press painted a dream of eternal love in the movie capital. However, that dream was cruelly shattered after a mere 7 months of marriage. Cary Grant was deeply shocked and fell into depression when Virginia decisively filed for divorce, leaving a massive question mark for the public. Why would a woman abandon the man whom millions of girls would literally die for? The answer began to emerge from the shadows of Beverly Hills' exclusive all-female nightclubs. Numerous behind-the-scenes documents and rumors from close assistants revealed that Virginia Cherrill actually felt suffocated and out of place in the role of a traditional wife. The climax of the truth lay in her secret relationships with a group of powerful women in the elite circles. Much was whispered about a mysterious female millionaire who was believed to have provided the strength and financial backing for Virginia to dare cast off her cover marriage with Cary. While Cary Grant was preoccupied with building the image of a model family, he was completely unaware that his wife was frequently sneaking away to private parties, where she could shed her glamorous gowns and live authentically with her true gender identity. Virginia's sexual orientation is believed to be the reason she never found a physical or soulful connection with Cary. This swift divorce was not just a romantic failure, it was a testament to the fact that even the most charming man on the planet cannot hold a heart that simply does not belong to the world of men. Moving on from Cary Grant's heartbreak, we come to an even stranger marriage, one where both husband and wife joined forces to create the most perfect contract in the history of MGM. Robert Taylor and Barbara Stanwyck, the ladies' Hautang Circle. In 1939, Hollywood was rocked by the wedding of the man with the most perfect face in the world. Was Robert Taylor and the powerful screen star Barbara Stanwyck. This was far more than just a marriage. It was a massive media campaign orchestrated by MGM to silence rumors regarding Robert's sexuality. Throughout 12 years of marriage, they appeared as a model couple, Robert the elegant gentleman and Barbara the devoted, capable wife. The public believed this was a peaceful sanctuary for two lonely souls in the heart of a scandalous movie capital. However, naive, Robert Taylor had no idea that his wife was also using him as a shield for a similar secret. According to many declassified documents, Barbara Stanwyck was actually a core member of the Sewing Circle, a secret society reserved for the most powerful lesbian actresses of the era. The climax of the truth lay in a relationship that went far beyond friendship between her and the legend Joan Crawford. Their group meetings at secluded resorts weren't held to discuss scripts. They were places where they could shed their facade of the submissive wife. Barbara was said to have found soulful and physical harmony only with women, while Robert remained preoccupied with building a masculine image to satisfy the studio's demands. If Robert Taylor's marriage was a contract calculated down to the smallest detail to please the studio, the man at number 5 entered his marriage with a wild, blind love, never realizing he was jealous of the wrong target. Frank Sinatra and Ava Gardner, the deluded jealousy of a lovesick icon. The 1951 marriage between The Voice, Frank Sinatra and Mokfar, the world's most beautiful animal, Ava Gardner, was a whirlwind of passion, alcohol, and fiery confrontations. Frank loved Ava so intensely that he reportedly attempted suicide when she first demanded a divorce. He worshipped his wife's sultry beauty and was perpetually driven mad by jealousy toward any man who dared get close to her. Frank believed that as long as he could fend off his male rivals, he would hold the entire heart of the world's most seductive woman. However, Frank was looking in completely the wrong direction. While he was obsessed with controlling other actors, Ava was finding solace in a world Frank never could have imagined. During her time in Spain, rumors swirled that Ava had fallen under the spell of fiery female flamenco dancers, most notably her midnight soulmate coitzed connection with the writer Mercedes de Acosta, famously nicknamed the Star Collector, became an open secret among the Ava's deep yearning for feminine understanding left Frank Sinatra, despite being a powerful and hyper-masculine man, perpetually helpless in truly capturing his wife's soul. Leaving behind the dead-end jealousy of Frank Sinatra, we move to a cinematic genius, a man who thought he could envision every script on Earth, yet found himself completely deadlocked by the gender play occurring in his own bedroom. Orson Welles and Rita Hayworth, The Goddess and the Bedroom Divide. When the genius Orson Welles married the love goddess Rita Hayworth in 1943, all of Hollywood believed that intellect and beauty had finally found each other. Orson took immense pride in possessing the woman millions of men desired, but he soon faced a bitter reality. Rita maintained a cold, distant wall in the bedroom that he could never truly breach. The truth gradually surfaced through Rita's famous lament, "Men go to bed with Gilda, but wake up with me." Numerous accounts suggest that Rita held deep-seated feelings for a female friend from her youth in Mexico and frequently sought comfort from close women to escape the pressures of her patriarchal husbands. While Orson Welles was preoccupied with his great works, he never understood that his wife, the screen's most seductive woman, actually carried a gender identity far more complex than the sex symbol persona he and the studios had meticulously crafted. Following the icy distance of the the goddess, Rita Hayworth, number 7, tells the story of a young hotshot who was so smug about his romantic conquests that he had no idea his beautiful wife was seeking a completely different kind of satisfaction. Mickey Rooney and Ava Gardner, The Naivety of a Smug Hotshot. In 1942, Mickey Rooney was Hollywood's #1 box office draw, known for his plucky charm and a career at its absolute peak. When he announced his marriage to a 19-year-old newcomer who had just set foot in the movie capital, Ava Gardner, the entire industry was stunned. Mickey loved Ava with an intense possessiveness, frequently boasting to his friends that he was the first man to uncover the beauty of this rising rose. So throughout their brief one-year marriage, Mickey was preoccupied with parading his wife at premieres and draping her in the most expensive jewelry, believing his own stardom was enough to tether the heart of his young bride. However, Mickey Rooney's self-satisfaction left him blind to Ava's true desires. Numerous behind-the-scenes accounts reveal that Ava Gardner grew weary of her husband's control and childish personality. She began seeking understanding in places Mickey never set foot. Whispers about Ava's gender identity began to stir as she was frequently seen at discreet women-only nightclubs where she shed the image of the good wife to seek new connections. The climax of these rumors erupted with whispers of a relationship that went far beyond friendship between Ava Gardner and the sultry star Lana Turner. The two were often caught whispering for hours in the dark corners of parties, and some sources even claim they took private trips together that Mickey knew nothing about. Lana Turner's entrance into Ava's life was more than just a friendship. It was an awakening of the sexual orientation Ava had been suppressing. While Mickey remained absorbed in his gambling and rising career, he was completely oblivious to the fact that his wife had found soulful and physical fulfillment beside a woman just as captivating as herself. Following the naivety of Mickey Rooney, we move to a trumpet player, a man who spent his entire marriage protecting his wife from addiction, yet found himself completely helpless against her secret desires. Jimmy Monroe and Billie Holiday. Melancholy. Melodies Behind Closed Doors. In 1941, Jimmy Monroe married the Queen of Jazz Billie Holiday at a time when she was at the pinnacle of her career, but also surrounded by personal turmoil. Jimmy stepped into the roles of husband-manager and a shield protecting Billy from the harsh prejudices of society. He walked beside her through brilliant performances, caring for her after long nights of exhaustion fueled by alcohol and substances. In the eyes of the public at that time, Jimmy was the ultimate patient man, one who embraced every dark corner in the life of a deeply wounded musical legend. However, Jimmy Monroe soon realized there was a void in Billy's heart that his masculinity could never fill. Later documents about Billie Holiday's life revealed that she always carried a complex duality in her sexual emotions. She frequently vanished after shows not to seek substances, but to find women who could offer her a soft, tender comfort. Jimmy Monroe tried to control every aspect of his wife's private life, but he completely missed the signs of her true orientation. The truth became clearer as the name Tallulah Bankhead, an actress famous for her flamboyant lifestyle, appeared frequently in Billy's diaries. The relationship between these two women was described as an intense bond of both soul and body. They regularly met in secret at private apartments in New York. There were nights when Jimmy Monroe waited wearily at home for his wife while Billy was lost in Tallulah's arms. The reality of this soulmate lover made the role of a husband like Jimmy feel faded and foreign. Billy found in women an empathy that no man, not even Jimmy, could provide amidst the sorrowful jazz melodies of her life. Leaving behind the somber notes of Billie Holiday, position number 9 brings us to A Strange Marriage, where the husband was almost entirely forgotten amidst the rise of a sexual liberation icon. James West and Mae West, the sex symbol and the invisible marriage. It began with a young dancer named James West marrying an ambitious girl named Mae West. At the time, James believed he had married a woman who would join him in building a career on the traditional theater stage. Their marriage took place quietly, and in the early years, they shared the common struggles of the acting profession. James took great pride in his wife's allure and supported her pursuit of a provocative on-screen image. He believed Mae's boldness was merely a performance, an act to captivate audiences and provide for their family. However, as Mae West skyrocketed into a global superstar and sex symbol, James West realized he no longer had a place in his wife's real life. Mae was more than just an actress. She was a pioneer who challenged every gender norm of the era. While James still dreamed of a conventional family, Mae was secretly constructing a private world filled with relationships far outside the boundaries of marriage. Declassified documents reveal that Mae West dedicated much of her time and affection to women in the dance and performance circles, connections James never once suspected. The climax of the truth lay in Mae West's frequent visits to secret lesbian bars in Harlem and New York. There she was, rumored to have had passionate affairs with black female dancers, women who provided her with artistic inspiration and absolute freedom. To Mae, her marriage to James West was nothing more than an obsolete administrative formality that she was too lazy to dissolve. While James spent decades proudly holding the title of Mae West's husband, she lived a diverse sexual life right before his eyes. The truth about Mae's female lovers only gradually surfaced when she publicly championed the LGBT community, leaving her husband bewildered by the fierce independence of the woman he thought he had married. Following the unbridled freedom of Mae West, we move to a rare and enduring marriage, where a silent understanding concealed earth-shattering gender secrets on both sides. Charles Laughton and Elsa Lanchester, The Covenant of Silence. There are marriages in Hollywood built not on passionate love, but on a heartbreaking understanding between two lost souls. Charles Laughton and Elsa Lanchester were exactly such a case. For over 3 decades, they were hailed as the golden couple of the iconic of the arts, always appearing with an image of deep respect and unbreakable bond from the London stage to the Hollywood screen. Charles was an elegant intellectual gentleman, while Elsa was a sharp-spirited woman. The public believed this was the ultimate peaceful sanctuary, a home without a single ripple of scandal in the heart of a chaotic and fickle movie capital. However, behind this admirable stability lay a grim reality that Elsa Lanchester only dared to make public after her husband's death. She revealed that from the very beginning, their marriage lacked any physical intimacy. Charles was gay, a fact that was initially a massive shock to Elsa. But what Charles never fully realized was that his wife also carried similar sexual vibrations within her feelings she had to bury to protect the stardom of them both. The climax of the truth lies in Elsa's secret relationships with female artists in the theatrical world. During the years lived alongside Charles, Elsa quietly maintained special connections with women seeking the kindred spirit that her husband could not provide. According to several close sources, she had female companions, so intimate that they nearly lived under the same roof under the guise of assistants. Both maintained a silent, gentleman's agreement. They protected each other's cover against social prejudice, yet each found their own paradise with same-sex lovers. That 33-year marriage was, in essence, a grand compromise, a place where Elsa's secrets were buried beneath her perfect performances. Tyrone Power and Annabella, the heartbreak of the silver screen's most captivating leading man. Dubbed the most attractive man in the world, Tyrone Power seemed to have it all: fame, fortune, and a beautiful wife in French star Annabella. Tyrone entered this marriage with the absolute confidence of a man accustomed to conquering every gaze. He believed his gallant charms were enough to build an impregnable kingdom of love. Their radiant photos on magazine covers at the time became symbols of the luxury and blissful happiness that anyone would envy. However, the smugness of this screen god was soon challenged by a mysterious distance from Annabella. Numerous declassified documents reveal that behind her facade as a devoted wife, Annabella harbored secrets about her gender identity that Tyrone simply could not face. Their breakdown didn't stem from other men, but from a private world that Tyrone was never permitted to enter. The climax of the truth lay in the passionate love letters Annabella exchanged with a powerful female aristocrat in Europe. This relationship was believed to have existed before she met Tyrone and continued secretly throughout their marriage. When Tyrone accidentally discovered this woman's existence, he fell into a severe crisis of faith. He realized that while he could capture the eyes of the entire world, he had utterly failed to capture the heart of his wife, a woman who fundamentally yearned for the soft empathy of a female rather than his imposed masculinity. Their shattered marriage marked the end of Tyrone's desperate attempt to change his partner's innate nature. Mel Ferrer and Audrey Hepburn. Suffocating control and the silent escape. The world always viewed Mel Ferrer as a devoted protector, a mentor who meticulously sculpted the flawless image of the Swan. Audrey Hepburn. Mel controlled every facet of Audrey's life, from her movie scripts to the very clothes she wore. For 14 years, Audrey consistently appeared obedient and fragile beside her husband, leading the public to believe in an unbreakable bond. Yet, behind this perfection, Audrey felt profoundly lonely, stripped of her personal freedom within the walls of her own home. It was Mel Ferrer's excessive control that created a deep emotional chasm, inadvertently becoming the catalyst that pushed Audrey to seek solace in places he never suspected. Biographers have begun to note periods where Audrey found a gentle resonance with women, those who could offer her the understanding that Mel never could. The climax of these suspicions lies in the time Audrey spent in Switzerland to heal from psychological trauma. Rumors have simmered that she found a special connection with a female crew member. This bond was deeply spiritual, transcending the boundaries of ordinary friendship. Audrey was said to have found in this woman a sense of freedom and empathy that Mel Ferrer never allowed her to touch. While Mel remained obsessed with mastering Audrey's life, he was completely oblivious to the fact that his wife's sensitive heart had found a silent escape with someone of the same sex, leaving their marriage as nothing more than an empty shell before its official collapse. Clark Gable and Carole Lombard, the party queen and her gender experiments. When people mention Clark Gable and Carole Lombard, they immediately think of a perfect couple with free spirits and a fiery passion. Clark Gable adored Carole to the point of worship, viewing her as the only woman capable of taming his playboy instincts. Their wedding was a sensational event, ushering in the happiest years of Gable's life. In his eyes, Carole was a wonderful wife, a companion who went hunting, fishing, and shared in all his masculine hobbies. Clark took immense pride in his wife's strength and directness, completely unaware that behind that bold personality lay a deeply complex gender identity. The truth about Carole Lombard began to be dissected by film historians after her sudden death in a tragic plane crash. Carole was famously known as a woman with extremely modern, liberated views. She never allowed herself to be confined by the moral standards of her time. Numerous behind-the-scenes accounts reveal that before and even during her marriage to Gable, Carole frequently attended private women-only parties hosted by Alice Leone Matz, a famous journalist known for her liberated lifestyle. The climax of the truth lies in Carole's romantic experiments with fellow actresses of her era. Some sources assert that Carole found more mental stimulation and soulful connection with women than anything Clark Gable could provide. She was rumored to have had brief but passionate relationships with women in Hollywood's high society as a way of self-discovery. Clark Gable, with his traditional masculinity and blind devotion to his wife, likely never wanted to believe the whispers that his woman harbored intense feelings for the same sex. Even after she was gone, Gable buried those secrets deep as a way to protect the eternal image of his perfect wife. Jean-Pierre Aumont and Maria Montez. Love letters at the bottom of the bathtub. Jean-Pierre Aumont and Maria Montez were once described as a couple straight out of a fairy tale. He was a gallant French leading man. She was the queen of Technicolor, possessing a radiant beauty from the Dominican Republic. Their life in Paris was a whirlwind of lavish parties and excursions on expensive yachts. Jean-Pierre took immense pride in his wife's lethal charm, believing he was the only man capable of reigning over the beauty's heart. He was enamored by the tenderness and loyalty Maria displayed in public, viewing it as the rock-solid foundation for the marriage of two top-tier stars. However, that rosy picture shattered hauntingly in 1951 when Maria Montez suddenly passed away in the bathtub of her private home. Her death was not only an emotional blow to Jean-Pierre, but also opened a dark chapter of her private life that he had never suspected. While clearing out his wife's mementos secrets she had meticulously hidden throughout their years together were uncovered. The climax of the truth lay in the passionate hidden love letters implying a deep relationship between Maria Montez and a famous female dancer. The words filled with longing and gender-based empathy within those letters revealed that Maria had lived a painful double life. She maintained the image of a submissive wife beside Jean-Pierre to protect her career and reputation, but in reality, her heart always belonged to that secret woman. Jean-Pierre Aumont chose absolute silence regarding these discoveries to protect the honor of his late wife. Yet the Paris insiders of that era understood that Maria Montez's tragedy lay not just in her young death, but in the fact that she had to bury her true gender identity until her very last breath at the bottom of a cold bathtub. Nigel Bruce and Violet Campbell, the compromise of a naive Dr. Watson. Closing our list is a quintessential British marriage where elegance and decorum inadvertently became a curtain, concealing a silent compromise that lasted for decades. Nigel Bruce, globally renowned for his portrayal of the gentle and kind-hearted Dr. Watson, lived a seemingly tranquil life alongside his wife Violet Campbell. For decades, they appeared as icons of stability and loyalty within the British artistic circles. Nigel placed absolute trust in his partner, taking pride in their orderly household and the understanding Violet showed toward his busy career. In Nigel's eyes, Violet was his peaceful harbor, a traditional woman who stood supportive behind her husband without ever causing a whisper of scandal. However, that peace was actually the result of a silent compromise that Nigel Bruce, with a carefree personality much like his character Watson, never questioned. Documents regarding the private lives of British artists from that era have begun to reveal the hidden corners of the Bruce household, where the wife was not entirely the domestic woman he imagined. The climax of the truth lies in the existence of a female companion who was constantly by Violet's side for many years. This woman lived almost under the same roof as the Bruces under the guise of a family friend, or Violet's private assistant. They spent most of their time together sharing hobbies and taking private trips that Nigel never once interfered with. In reality, Violet found emotional and gender-based resonance in this woman while maintaining her role as the model wife beside Nigel. The real-life naivety of Dr. Watson inadvertently helped Violet protect her secret from a restrictive British society. Their marriage remained enduring until the end, but it was a stability built on the silent understanding of the wife and the almost childlike trust of the husband. 15 marriages, 15 stories with grim secrets hidden behind the glitz and glamour. There were husbands who spent their entire lives worshiping a perfect facade, and wives who had to sacrifice their true gender identity in exchange for fame and safety in old Hollywood. Whether it was a deception or a hidden compromise to protect one another, these secrets prove one truth. Behind the most brilliant films are always the quietest pains. Which shock on today's list felt the biggest to you? Was the naivety of the gentleman or the endurance of the stars more to blame? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you don't miss our next My Secret Files on World Legends. Thank you for watching. Goodbye and see you next time.